Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Iowa Speedway for tonight's race of the IROC Challenge Series presented by SEtv, R&R Racewear, Loud Pedal Gaming, and Top Notch Creations. I'm joined with Alan. Welcome back, man. Long time no see.
It's good to be here. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. For those of you who don't know, Tim is typically the one that is with me on most nights, but Alan's actually going to be filling in for him as Tim is quite busy with a bunch of other things, and it's going to be fun. We're at a short track, and the IROC guys are making their way around for 10 minutes worth of practice. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. This, I tell you what, as much as we're watching practice, I will be absolutely stunned if there are green flag pit stops in this race. These cars are sliding all over the place. It almost looks like a dirt track as loose as these cars are, so expect a lot of sliding in the turns. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only raced this in the truck series, so I don't know too much about the ARCA cars when it comes to this, but based off of what we have been seeing and Alan's kind of pointed out, is that they do get very loose through here. So most of these guys looks like they're drifting around the corner trying to find that groove that's going to work for them. So at the end of this, I'm excited to see how these guys turn out when it comes to the actual race.
Yeah, definitely. I tell you what, something's I fully expected to have to buy this track for my account. Turns out I already had it, but I'm pretty sure the last time I raced in it was about 10 years ago when I was going through the ranks. So it has been a long time since I've raced on this track, but it looks like a fun one. Just under 9/10 of a mile, and yeah, I mean it runs almost like it sort of reminds me of Richmond, about the same shape and size. So but definitely looks to be a very, very loose one, not typical of what you used to see with the IROC cars from back in the day. So definitely going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, this is kind of my first IROC series as well too. When Tim was doing his first broadcast, I was like looking, I was like, all these guys' schemes are exactly the same, and I'm over here not knowing that that's the whole point.
Yeah, I was in a NASCAR 2003 season league back in the day that raced IROC cars. So that was a whole lot of fun, just being able to, just focus on super speedways once a week. And yeah, these paint schemes definitely look just like those cars did back then. So definitely brings up some memories for me racing that game.
While these guys are going around practice, we still got 8 minutes left. We'll leave the ticker up so you can see where your favorite driver is at. We're going to go over a couple of the rules for tonight's race. We are at Iowa Speedway. We're looking at 150 laps here today. We do have lucky dogs and wave rounds, as you would expect in an ARCA series, and IROC as well. They only have one fast repair, which will be interesting because it gives guys like that sense of, okay, I can at least make one mistake, but after that, you got to be careful. So I'll be curious to see how the guys kind of take that into like their own advantage, to see if they're going to push hard early on or if they're going to kind of play defensively, knowing that they only have that one opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw that with the NASCAR virtual series when, the pandemic first started. Those guys, they had a fast repair or two available, but they had to sit there and decide, do I want to race around with a damaged car, or do I want to save, do I want to save that fast repair in case something else happens, or do I want to go ahead and use it and risk having a messed up car later in the race? So it's always an interesting choice, and it's one that sometimes pays off, but then sometimes it comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, and when we have that one fast repair as well, on top of that, they're also going to be using only 2 sets of tires. So the ones that come with the car, and then you got your extra set. With there being 150 laps, and in the fuel window, we're still kind of figuring out where that fuel window is at, so we will get that before the race starts. But with only 2 sets of tires, that could be pretty costly if you pit too early and use that set.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, again, it's such a gamble, and the league that I mostly race in is the NIS series in iRacing, and it's such a gamble. I mean, sometimes you feel like you're just dominating everybody else because of those fresh tires, and that's because you are. But at the same time, if there's a late caution, and I tell you what, in the NIS series there usually is, you definitely want to have one last set of tires available. You can just soar right through the field in no time at all. Now, at a short track like Iowa, it is a little different because you don't have that much time to, get through the field for a green white checkered. There's just 4 turns that you have, so it's definitely interesting when that happens, but it's definitely a huge gamble, and again, sometimes it pays off and then sometimes you get burned from it.
Yeah, and as we can tell from practice alone, you can see these guys are kind of, especially 1 and 2, they're sliding all over the place. So with that being a concern and them only having 2 sets of tires, they're going to have to really take it easy at this short track today. But moving on to everything else that they have, we also have a nice little thing that I like to see. Bump and runs are allowed, but if it results in a wreck, then it's going to be under basically their review as if you can still continue to do it or not. You don't really see a whole lot of leagues utilize the bump and run type stuff because they want to make the race as clean as possible. I know the league that I race in for Truck Series doesn't even allow us to bump draft in corners because they know it can cause accidents. So it's nice to see a change of pace with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between bump drafting and bumping somebody to the point to where they just flat out go around. So it's something that these drivers are not going to want to utilize very often, but it is something that you will see every now and then, especially late in the race.
Yeah, you don't really see too often with the ARCA Series cars. With a little bit of knowledge that I have in racing and iRacing, the back end it gets so squirrely with any sort of traffic behind them. Once you get that dirty air and you have someone trying to push you, it's a handful. So I don't think we'll see too much of that here, especially at this type of track. But it'll be interesting to see how the guys can actually handle this thing, because, I mean, as we're off of turn 4 right here, seeing these guys coming off, a lot of these guys are getting squirrely.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're gonna see it the entire race. I mean, if this is happening with brand new tires, it's only gonna get worse throughout the run. So yeah, you're gonna see these cars all over the place, all over the wall. It's gonna look like Darlington today.
Absolutely. And referring to what we were talking about earlier, if you've seen Iowa, it may look kind of familiar as far as the layout goes. The layout is pretty similar to Richmond. I want to say they almost like detailed Iowa around Richmond. I don't know if that's 100% true, but the banking and everything is almost similar to what Richmond has.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looks like Richmond in the daytime. I mean, if you're a NASCAR fan, you're used to seeing Richmond only at night. The Chevy Rock and Roll 400 back in the day, I remember that was a big race. But yeah, I mean, it definitely, I mean, it almost looks like a carbon copy of Richmond. We'll have to find out whether that's true or not.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you don't know anything about Iowa, it's a fun track. I was actually terrified of this thing when I raced in the Truck Series, and having less than an hour worth of practice and having to do a league race is like the worst position you want to be in. But knowing how the track runs, this is probably one of my favorite short tracks, which is funny, and it's right there alongside Richmond as well too. And those are the two tracks I do the best at.
So I have the answer. According, Wikipedia is always selective, but I don't think somebody would make this up. The track, according to Wikipedia, the track was designed with influence from Rusty Wallace and patterned after Richmond Raceway. So you are correct there.
Absolutely. So I guess Rusty must have a fond place for Richmond.
Oh yeah, he was, and I can say this as a Rusty Wallace fan. When he was racing, he was great at short tracks pretty much his entire career. So that was, yeah, he was all over the short tracks, no matter which one it was.
Well, if you're tuning in here tonight and you're in chat, you can definitely talk amongst yourselves, look at your drivers, everything else like that. I will have chat up through the race, and we'll be interacting with everyone as I can. And throughout the race, looking to bring in some drivers for some in-race interviews just to see how they're feeling and what's going on. So look forward to that as well too. But of course, these races would not be possible without the sponsors that we have, and we have quite a bit. Signature Esports is one of the main sponsors on this league. You can find them over at facebook.com/Signature Esports, and they do high-quality broadcasts for iRacing leagues and anything from PUBG to even WoW, which is kind of insane. So if you're looking to kind of get into broadcasting with a group of guys that's basically expanding onto other things rather than iRacing, you can hit up Signature Esports on their Facebook page at Signature Esports, facebook.com/Signature Esports. Also, one of the big ones going on is R&R Racewear. They're actually in Valley Park, Missouri, so a USA company. A lot of people are now in today's age are looking for that. And they make high-end quality racing apparel for literally anything. I saw some dirt racing apparel on there, from like winged sprint cars all the way down to ARCA to NASCAR truck. They have literally everything. They also make die-cast cars, so if you're looking for something to add to your collection, you can hit them up at r-rracewear.com. And then, it seems to be a famous thing here as well too. Loud Pedal Gaming has keyed the Loud Pedal Gaming last lap for this league, so they will get a shout out near the end of this race. But it looks like, from the little bit of information I got, he's basically a streamer. And he streams iRacing, he streams flight sims, he even does Madden and some other sports. I think he even had golf on there. So if you want to check out his Facebook, it's going to be facebook.com/loudpedalgaming. And then last but certainly not least is Top Notch Creations. And this guy has actually been around quite a bit for other leagues that I've noticed. He has some of the best replica diecast cars I think I've ever seen. Even some that are signatured on top of that as well too. So his Facebook, if you want to go take a look at some of these diecast cars, it's going to be at facebook.com/top-notch-diecast. And again, we want to give a huge thank you to the sponsors for this league, for putting everything together, and it wouldn't be possible without them. So now practice is over and we're getting into qualifying. See who we got out on track. All right, so it looks like we got John Stapleton sitting there in the number 77.
You know, qualifying is going to be interesting at such a loose track like this, and it looks like he almost missed the pit exit there. But you know, what's going to be interesting is, you know, you want to do a hot lap, but at the same time, you can't afford to lose control in the turns. And so, you know, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, are these guys able to complete a lap? I think that as loose as this track is, just completing a lap for qualifying is going to be an accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how hard John's going to push this thing. Coming around on his out lap, he had a 35, obviously. So coming around the first one, it looked like his 24.84, which is going to put him currently in second. Not a bad first lap.
And by the way, the car that I mentioned missed the pit exit was the number 33 of Kevin McCann. He actually did miss pit exit and had to reset his car. So that was what I was referring to a minute ago.
Speaking of the 33, some issues. Not sure what he's doing. Sounds like he's riding the clutch. Take a look at Jimmy Fraser here in the number 6. He'll be taking his first lap, it looks like.
Whatever the 33 is doing, it's working because he has the pole right now.
Yeah, maybe the pit entry missing was the whole part of the strategy.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm still a little rusty, ladies and gentlemen. That's the 133 with the pole. Or no, that is Kevin McCann. Okay, never mind.
Yep.
I'm all over the place right now.
And speaking of Kevin McCann, actually, I know him and names are kind of leaving my head. Chris Wally, one of the admins of the league. They actually had a hell of a battle at Daytona last week. If you missed it, those guys were going at it, and actually 60 lap race, only 4 cautions at Daytona, which is pretty surprising, honestly. Ended up taking the lead away from Brian McCain, who led 48 laps during that race, on the last lap pass in turn 4, causing a huge wreck behind everybody, and they raced it back to the start finish line with a gap of 0.019 between them. So I know Chris is looking to keep that streak alive, and I'm sure Brian McCain, your pole sitter, or sorry, there's 2 McCains. Oh wow, there's Ken and
Brian. That's right.
Oh wow. So Brian McCain's actually in third currently, so I'm sure Brian McCain is looking to secure that first place position tonight.
And it looks like we currently have a tie for second place within 1/10 of the pole position.
Yeah,
That's always frustrated if you're the second place car out of the two when you have a tie.
Yeah, Brian McCain running a 24.353, and Neil Quick, who's on screen currently, 24.352. Dang, you guys are getting around. Looks like we have two guys that haven't qualified yet. Hunter Clark is still riding the clutch. I don't know if he's figured out how to shift the car or what's going on, but he's taking his time. Also got Josh Apollos in the 42. Looks like he's actually coming out for his first lap. Or sorry, his second lap.
And Clark's not the only one with an insanely slow lap. Jarrett Wiedner also ran a 41.468. So I don't know if maybe they're doing that for strategic purposes or what.
Starting in the back and hoping they can get through everything and make their way to the front.
That's my guess. But who knows? Who knows? Everybody has their own reasons.
So this is the last car left to qualify, coming across the line for his second lap. See if he can do better. And he does, 25.474. But what's interesting is it looks like iRacing didn't even score him. I wonder if he got a penalty somewhere.
I guess so.
Must have hit something. That's going to round out qualifying. Evan McCain with the fastest lap of a 24.243. All right, and as these guys are getting set to grid, let's go ahead and get through our grid, sponsored by R&R Racewear. In row number 1, we're going to have Kevin McCain in the 133 and Neil Quick in the 2. In row number 2, Brian McCain in the number 1 car and Jesse B. King in the 55. Row 3, Colt Cecil in the 63 and Dustin Buck in the 68. Row 4, Alan Warnicki, I hope I said that right, in the 72, and Joshua Funkhauser in the 15. And row number 5, we got Evan Faust in the 78, Matt Henry in the 19. Row number 6, Mike Harper in the number 4, and Tim Schofield, is that how you say that? In the number 12. I'm going to butcher some of these names, so I apologize in advance. In row number 7, we got Chris Quick in the 54 and Kyle Pendengraf in the 14. Row number 8, we got Jimmy Fraser in the number 6 and David Trumbley in the 96. Row number 9, Brad McDaniel in the 32. Chris Wally in the number 5 car. Row number, I've already lost count now.
Just keep on going.
Row 10, Paul Buzzle in the number 9, Lance Riggins in the 10. Row 11, we got Stoney Benfield in the 66 and John Stapleton in the 77. Row 12, we got Ken Harper in the 81 and Vincent Short in the 150. Row 12, we got Jeffrey Gilbolt in the 92 and Cody and Jorgensen in the 45. Row 13, Dakota Clark in the 34 and Brandon Mefford in the 83. And then row 14, we got Wyatt Hendrick in the 22 and Jarrett Wiedner in the 33. And then rounding out the last row is Hunter Clark in the 11 and Josh Apollos, which not sure what happened there, but he's going to be in last in the number 42.
And by the way, we do have a prediction in the comments section by our own Timothy Hammond. He's picking Brian McCann to win this. Tim, as a broadcaster, you're not supposed to show bias, so that's very unprofessional there, Tim. We all know who he's pulling for the rest of the season, but, you know, whatever.
So Brian sitting there in that one car in the 3rd spot. We are going to be going green this time by. It looks like iRacing finally fixed the yellow flags. I know that was terrible for the longest time. Your long tracks had those really short cautions like they were supposed to, but then your short tracks got the long cautions.
Yeah, it has vastly improved lately. There's still a few tracks where there's definitely a lap or two too many. I know that Dover was one of those during the NIS series. Seemed like those cautions were taking forever, but yeah, it's definitely improved a lot lately.
Right, as we're getting along here, I'm looking forward to this race. Again, this track is one of my favorite tracks, and being able to see the ARCA cars race this, I just love the schemes. It's so cool seeing everybody with the same scheme. Like I said, I never got into the IROC thing until I started doing this in the league, and I just love how like the schemes kind of just pop nice and bright.
Oh yeah, definitely. They look great, and you know, Crown Royal getting a lot of advertisement right now.
Here we go, coming to the start line. Green flag in the air, and we got 150 laps ahead of us. Looks like going off quick. Kevin McCain in that number 33 is going to go ahead and close the door on Brian McCain now. 150 laps, long race. Not expecting to see too much going on early on, but maybe the back of the pack might get scrambled up trying to find the correct lane, seeing where they want to go. What do you think, if you were in their position, what are you focusing on mostly?
Right now, at the start of the race, you're trying to get in line and just run some laps. I mean, you're not going to win this race on lap one. Whenever you're in a public server, you know that's one of the first things that everyone says. There's always somebody in there that says, "Hey, can't win in turn one of lap one." You got to run some laps. You got to just, you know, slowly but surely work your way up. But right now on cold tires, you are just trying to stay stable and just run some laps. That's really the most important thing right now.
And someone who's pushing Kevin McCain, we saw there on the screen, running the fastest lap, currently in lap 3, almost better than his qualifying lap. So he's not holding anything back. He's got that clean air, and he's going to run with it.
Yeah, and as much as the tires are spinning right here, and as we have a caution already.
Got some slow cars back here. Looks like the 6 of Jimmy Fraser has a ton of damage on the right front of that car. Go ahead and see if we can take a look at what's going on here with him.
Yeah, it looks like the 6 and the 54 of Chris Quick got into it there.
There we go. Right into the 6 of Frazier. Okay, it looks like the 54 of Chris Quick just came down on him, had nowhere to go. Fortunately, the 5 gets collected on top of that.
Yeah, the 54 definitely got loose. The 6 also did come up just a little bit, so definitely just a racing incident there. I think that both of them kind of made a mistake going into that turn, and unfortunately, when you're doing that right beside each other, something's got to give. So that doesn't look to be a ton of damage for either driver. I think they'll be able to keep it going without a fast repair.
Let's see how we're Jimmy Fraser right now. Yeah, oh, that right wheel. I wonder. That wheel literally just came apart against the wall, but it looks like he's fine. He's coming off of pit road currently. The first caution, lap number 5. Some people still trying to figure it out, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, early incident, nothing rare there. So, you know, as this race will go on, these guys will be used to restarting on cold tires. So, you know, we'll have a clean run eventually. But yeah, for now, not a great start. But, you know, these guys have plenty of time to recover and get back in this one.
And like we explained before, you know, you only have one fast repair. Unfortunately, Fraser being involved in that, it looks like he is going to use that fast repair. As you can see, that car looks like it's just came off the trailer. So now he's really got to be careful for these, literally these next 144 laps. Making sure he doesn't get any more trouble.
Yeah, when you get a chance, take a look at Chris Wally. The left front tire seems to be in a lot, having
yeah.
some issues right there. So
Yeah, I see
he's, it looks like he's going to stay out. He's not going to use that fast repair. That's going to be interesting to see if he's able to stay up to speed or not.
Yeah, that's a lot of aerodynamics right there that are damaged. So I don't know how bad it's going to be hurting him. It looks like it could hurt him pretty bad. I mean, the front's basically completely shown. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. Again, winner from Daytona last week. Now looking in a position of 15th. Not a way to start it, but plenty of racing left in Iowa. So he's got plenty of time to make it back up to the front.
And you know what he could be doing is, you know, he's keeping that, not only keeping that fast repair, but also not changing tires. I think he might be hoping that, you know, another couple of cautions before he decides to do that fast repair. So if he can reset and have brand new tires, I mean, he's as good as new. So I think all he has to really do right now is just try his best to stay on the lead lap, just stay as fast as he can without getting any more damage, and I think he'll be fine.
And for those of you joining in on chat, if you're looking for your driver there on the left-hand side, give you an idea of where he is at. So if you're looking for your driver, pay attention to that ticker there, and you'll be able to find out where your driver is at. But right now, looks like pace lights are still on, so I don't remember pacing being this long at Iowa.
Yeah, it's we're having a delayed green.
Gotcha. Do you know what for?
I do not.
Interesting. Like the pace lights are going to be off, so we're going to go green this time around. Luckily, not too many people got caught up in that, but the 54, who looked like he was involved, is going to be a lap down from that incident.
It looks like he's the reason for the delayed green. He's ended up spinning coming onto pit road, so definitely some early troubles for him.
Yeah, hopefully he can collect himself and bring it back up there, but we still got Kevin McCain, Brian McCain. I wonder if they're brothers. I never asked, but I'm assuming with the same last name, they got to be related somehow, right?
Yeah, I mean, unless Brian McCann is the baseball catcher, which I doubt, they probably are related there. But that would be a pretty good guess.
Well, let's see which family member comes out on top on this restart here. You see the pace cars coming off. Ooh, and Brian, the number one, got a hell of a start there off that restart. It's gonna. Oh, sorry, Kevin. I'm gonna get him confused because I see the 33. Kevin getting a huge start going on the inside of Brian and clearing him coming off at 2. Everyone else back here kind of getting single file. A battle right here for 6th spot. Let's see, so Matt Henry.
Some good early battles going on here. These guys are not taking their advice and staying in single file. They are racing for position right now. Multiple positions being competed for.
They're doing a pretty good job. Got the 72 in front of him of Alan Warnicki, slowing him down quite a bit there. Trying to get it back in the lead. We'll see if they continue battling or if they're going to get single file. Take a look around here.
I tell you what, the 5 of Chris Wally seems to be holding his own. We were worried about that tire, but so far it seems to be holding his own right now.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be slower at all whatsoever. Still kind of getting up to pace. He's still holding pace quite well actually. Not really losing anything. Gap between him and the leader is about 3 seconds, but he's also gained 3 spots since the restart.
And you saw Paul Buzzle, who did say hi to his mom during the pre-race show. He got very loose on that lap. But then again, everybody's getting loose right now. These guys are just trying to hang on right now.
These cars are already a handful, and when you throw them on a short track like Iowa, disaster is bound to happen. He's battling alongside the 14 here of Kyle Pendergraph. I hope I'm saying that right. That's a hard one for me.
I'll tell you what, the 4 of Mike Harper, his car looks like it's already been through war. He's got a piece of the rear just hanging on for dear life, and he's got some front end damage. That first wreck,
a lot of front end damage. Hopefully that thing doesn't.
That first wreck took quite a toll on him.
Yeah, that's what I love about these cars too. You don't get damage models like this anywhere else on the Cup cars or the truck cars. So
Absolutely. The NIS had the new damage model, but they took it away. People were unhappy because they were causing a lot of issues, and there were some bugs with them. And iRacing decided to get rid of it until those bugs are worked out. And really weird, we have not seen a damage model that's close to this since then. So this is definitely a refreshing thing to see. I know that the first race. Oh yeah, definitely interesting to see. The first race that actually the only race that I was involved in with that damage model was at Michigan, and I was involved in a wreck. And as the leaders were coming by to lap me, the front bumper fell off, and I ended up turning right in front of them. Luckily, I was able to avoid everybody, slammed into the outside wall, started barrel rolling like crazy. So that damage model definitely made things more interesting, and that's not necessarily a good thing when you're almost taking out the leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to know if over time, like I said, I haven't really messed with these cars too much. Curious to know if that thing will get ripped off. Maybe a yellow comes off from the green. Is that even a thing in iRacing?
No, we have a pretty good size wreck here between the 66, the 15, the 6 was involved. It looks like it's a pretty good size wreck.
Yeah, Jimmy Fraser, unfortunately, it's not his day. Involved in yet another wreck. Let's take a look at the replay here and see what caused this one.
Yeah, and I think this one you're gonna see that it's a victim of old tires. Once these cars start to lose grip, they're all over the place. It's almost like the Aero War cars where there's no power steering. You're just all over the track. The tires aren't gripping. I think that's what happened here. Going into turn 3, the 66 of Stony Benfield came up a little bit, while the 15 of Vincent Short came down just a little bit. I think both of them were just struggling to grip the track at that point, and this is what happened.
Yeah, 66 looks like he got loose there. Unfortunately, Jimmy just nowhere to go. Not enough time to slow down, and unfortunately just could not get out of the way of that one. Take a look at the 66. Yeah, it gets into the 15. Is that the 150?
And it does look like the 66 of Stony Benfield did take his fast repair, so that is his one for the race.
And like we mentioned earlier, this is Fraser's second wreck. He already used his fast repair the first time, so unfortunately he is not going to have another one, and I'm sure that's going to retire him from the race.
Yeah, and again, that's that gamble that you pay. I mean, we will never know how damaged his car truly was after that first incident, but that's what we were talking about. Do you take the gamble and take that fast repair early on in this race, or do you try your best to save it and be off speed for a little while? And that's what happens. You get burned sometimes.
So that's also going to bring us to our lucky dog, which is going to be from Top Notch Creations. It's going to be the 54 of Chris Quick. So just like that, one lap down, and now he's coming back around, be on the lead lap now.
And it looks like the 6 of Jimmy Frazier is trying to get his damage repaired, so choosing not to do that fast repair. And he's still in the pits. He looks pretty damaged. That's a tough one right there.
Yeah, it's going to be a hefty. I mean, he's gonna be there for a while for sure. I would be interested.
Like his car, it looks like the right side of his car is still on the jack. That's how damaged he truly is right now. So that's yeah, that one's gonna take a while.
And not much has changed up front. He's still got Kevin McCann in the 133 still leading the race. Brian McCann up there in second. Jesse B. King in the 55 up in third. Neil Quick in the 2 car in fourth, and Colt Cecil in the 63, rounding out your top 5. So it seems like most of the action is happening mid to back pack, and the guys up front are just kind of chilling out.
Yeah, and we're as we said, we're starting to see these cars really start to slip and slide. The top 24 have not come into pits, so they are still on the original tires, which is not surprising. We're still very early on in this race. Only two tire changes can be made during this race for each car. So you're going to see more of the same. You're going to see a lot of cars continuing to slide throughout this first run.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what that pit window was. So it's really hard to tell. I'm assuming they're using 100% fuel just based off of the information we got from practice when we had a couple of guys running their window, going like 25 laps and still had 88% in the right front. Oh, sorry, 88 gallons left in the car. So
88 laps.
88 laps. Sorry. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I think the magic number for these guys is 50. I think they're going to stay out until then, at least until then, and try to evenly divide these tire sets. You're probably going to see some try to wait until lap 75, a little bit after, to be able to save that third and final set for late in the race if there's a green-white checker. But I think 50 will be the magic number. I think that there's a caution around that number. You're really going to start to see a lot of these cars come in for tires.
Yeah, and with only having those two sets too, you're kind of wanting to push as much as you can to hold on to those tires. So most strategies are, halfway point is when you want to try and change them, but depending on how the rest of this race goes, you might have to do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always a gamble because, you want to sit there and say, okay, we'll get another caution around, wherever, but when you're certain that's going to happen, that's when it doesn't happen, and you end up getting hung out to dry when you're out there for a long time on old tires and everybody else is on new ones. It can get very frustrating very quick.
Absolutely. Pace car is in, and again, Kevin McCann in that 133 getting a fantastic jump on the low line. And now we're back under green. Lap 23. The front starting to not seem to follow as quick as before. Got a couple of battles going on up here. 72 is looking to the inside of Neil Quick in number 2, but looks like he's going to hold off there. 19 all by himself. Oh, and just like that, the 68 of Dustin Buck in that outside wall, cutting it through the grass, doing a great job of saving it, but looks like we're going to stay green here. What a save by Dustin Buck.
Yeah, that's impressive, and these guys are going to need a lot of that skill as this run goes on, saving the car from coming around. This track is like, it looks like ice right now, honestly, as much as these guys are slipping and sliding.
Absolutely. Taking a look back here,
getting
Buzzle and the number 9 up in the 9th. He's actually trucking pretty hard. Oh, and just like that, Chris Wally getting into the 92 of Jeffrey Goldbolts. I hope I'm saying that right as well, and sending him down the track.
Yeah, and these guys are going to have to really pick, be selective when they're going to go for these passes. We were seeing a battle for second just a moment ago. Jesse King was diving under Brian McCann, but unfortunately, when you're under a car like that, it does get you a little bit loose, and he ended up losing quite a bit of time, quite a few car lengths because of that move.
And as you see the 12 there of Tim Schofield, 5 laps down, coming back on the track. Luckily, the leaders are able to clear him. Looks like he's not going to be anywhere as well.
I'll tell you what's interesting. The leader, Kevin McCann, we're really seeing him use the lower part of the track. That's a bit of a surprise. I don't think that we were really expecting that. And his brother as well, we're assuming his brother, Brian McCann, both of them seem to be using a pretty similar line early on in this run.
Let's run on board, actually, with Brian. Let's see what kind of line he takes here. Interesting to see.
Yeah, Brian's diving into the turn a little bit sooner. Kevin it looks like he's trying to stay in that second group as long as he can and then kind of try to steadily dive into that inside lane. That's where that's going to help you is tires. You're really going to pay off when you can make that turn as wide as possible, and that's what he's doing. That's really going to help those tires in the long run.
And then we got 29 down, the top 5 still settling in. Got a battle here for 5th, actually. Neil Quick in the 2, going on with Matt Henry. Taking one on the inside here. It's going to be quite tough. Oh, and just like that, 19, Matt Henry into the wall. Doesn't really look like he lost a whole lot there.
I'm telling you, these guys are going to have a Darlington stripe, every single one of them, by the end of this race.
Oh, absolutely. Especially after turn 4, we're seeing more guys get into that wall in the front stretch than anything.
Yeah, like Jesse King trying to go back to that second lane. He's in third place currently. But yeah, top three and even beyond that seem to be separating themselves quite a bit. I see another car in the wall there.
Yeah, Henry up in that high line, the 2 is going to take that position right away. That's just clearing him on the backstretch. Want to take a look.
I'll tell you what, I think we're starting to see that damage really come into effect for Chris Wally in the 5 car currently in 12th place. He seems to be just kind of all over the place. Seems like he's really kind of struggling to keep that car under control right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hopefully we can speak with him later on and see what caused it. Is he involved in that first lap wreck?
Yeah, involved in the first lap.
Well, he's trucking it out. He knows if he uses his fast repair, he's not going to have any more. And with that type of damage, honestly, it wasn't really affecting him too much, but maybe it's a long run issue.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely worth the gamble. I mean, as you can see, he is able to keep up the speed. He's just, seems like he's struggling in the turns a little bit. But, this is just, at the end of the day, you're just trying to turn laps right now, as we said. It's still very early in this race. And so, he has plenty of time to worry about that fast repair later. But yeah, I mean, he's just got to nurse the car right now, and he'll be just fine.
Everything's starting to seem like it's settling down here. People kind of got the jitters out of the way, and now they're in for the long haul. Most of these guys, closest battle we have right now, really between, like back of the pack, it looks like. Everyone up front's pretty much single file around this track right now. Not seeing anything too crazy going on.
Yeah, the only thing really going on right now is a battle for 16th place between the 15 of Vincent Short and the 14 of Kyle Pendergraft as they come onto the front stretch. 14 gets a little loose there.
Yeah, you see Pendergraft there got some right side damage.
He's going to try the crossover move.
Wide.
Oh, that was a close.
David Tremblay, that 96, almost got the rear end of Pendergraft there.
Foot away from causing a caution right there.
3 wide. Probably not ideal to do so early on in the race, but hey, you're not going to go anywhere unless you take risks. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, while we're sitting here saying that right now it's important to turn laps, eventually track position is going to be the key to winning this race. Again, if these cars, if these guys save a last set of tires for a green-white checker, while you are going to have a lot more grip, you're only going to have so much. These guys are still really, really loose at the beginning of a run. So, if you're starting behind all these other cars, even though you're going to be able to make up some spots, the chances of you being able to get through the entire field in just 2 laps are slim to none. So, as this race goes along, track position is going to become even more and more important. So, these guys are starting to get far enough along to where they're starting to think about track position now that they're comfortable with the cars and these old tires.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, having to wheel a car like this and throw in old tires on the top of that, it's going to be exhausting for a lot of these guys. They know that they have to continue saving. They know basically tires, it's always tires. No matter where you go, when you look at long races like this, it's always going to be tires at the end of the day.
And it's something.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, and it's something you can't practice for. I mean, you can sit there and say that you're going to do it in practice. You're just gonna go out there and turn laps. But subconsciously, in practice, you're going just a little bit harder than you would in real life, and that's something that I struggle with in the NIS series. Anybody who knows me and who practices with me, I spend all the time in practice. I sit there and before each race, I tell myself, okay, I'm going to do a green flag run. I'm going to do a green flag run, and then I go out there and crash within 5 laps. But then once the race starts, you're able to just that you can't make that mistake. You can't crash, and so you are a lot safer during the race run. And so, it's just so difficult to actually do a legitimate practice run with old tires because, subconsciously you are going a little bit harder than you are in real life. You don't want to just sit there and go out and just run slow laps. That's boring. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's always difficult to do a true practice run. So these guys, I guarantee you, the majority of them this late in the run are experiencing this for the first time.
68 a Buck getting loose again, coming off of 4. You're watching him as you were talking about aggressive driving and everything else like that. Buck is sending it into these turns. He is diving down low. He's gonna cut off the 33 of Jarrett Wiedner. Sorry, I know his name. So Jarrett in the 33 just straight cuts him off, and he's gonna get loose again off of 4 and collects Jarrett this time around. And he's going to spin out on the front stretch. And who's that in the back? Somebody else. I think that was Ken Harper? It looked like Ken Harper saw the crash and freaked out. And he almost went around as well too. But it was just a matter of time for Dustin Buck. I was watching him.
Oh yeah, you definitely called it.
And he was getting squirrely a couple laps in a row, and unfortunately couldn't save that one like he did up front.
Yeah, and that was indeed the 81 of Ken Harper, and that's what happens. When you see a spin in front of you, even though it's quite a bit ahead of you, it makes you take your focus off of the wheel and the brake pedal. And so that's what happened to him with Ken Harper. He was sitting there looking at the crash. And then all of a sudden, I'm about to go around too. So it's definitely very easy to lose focus just for a second, and that's what we saw with him.
And Dustin Buck, unfortunately, collecting the 33 there as well too. Took a ride with Dustin.
And as that's happening, we are seeing pretty much everybody coming onto pit road. So this is where we're starting to see that first set of tires come to a close, as it is lap 45, so around the lap 50 mark, and that's about what we expected.
Yeah, so we got, looks like a couple of people stayed out. Alan Warnecki and Harper actually look like they were both out. Might be more than just that, though. Got the leaders on. Pretty much more than half the field is on. Looks like the front 7 did not pit.
Yeah, it looks like the only 6 at this point who have not yet pit in this race are the current leader, the 72 of Alan Warnecki, the 81 of Ken Harper, the 32 of Brad McDaniel, the 77 of John Stapleton, the 68 of Dustin Buck, and the 34 of Dakota Clark. Those 6 have not come into pit yet, so those are the ones who are gambling early on.
And it's interesting to not see Kevin Buck coming in now that he's basically went through the grass while he was up front. I think he was actually within the top 5 going through the grass and then getting loose a couple of times throughout a few of those laps right before he ultimately wrecked. Interesting to say that he's not going to take tires unless he rethinks that decision and comes in this time around.
Yeah, and spinning your tires, leaving skid marks on the track, that definitely does not help your cause if you're trying to save tires either. So yeah, he's definitely going to have his hands full if he's going to keep it going with these old tires.
And I don't believe Hunter Clark was in any of that accident there, so he is scored 2 laps down, so he should be getting a lap back here, as he is the last car on the lead lap, currently sitting in 28th. We'll see that.
And a bit of an interesting development, Brian McCann did get a penalty on pit road, so he goes from second place before that caution to 26th currently. So you're going to see him trying to work his way back up through the field.
Yikes, yeah, that's something you definitely don't want to see, especially up there at the front fighting with hopefully a family member of sort. That's a huge hit to him. 23rd, that's going to be rough.
Yeah, and again, plenty of time to work your way back through, but at the same time, you do have to keep track position in mind as this race gets further and further into it. So yeah, I mean, you're going to see him. I think you're going to see him be as patient as he can be, but at some point, you can't let yourself get distance too much from the leaders.
I think I really can see out up front, so nobody else is coming in. Lights on the pace car are still on. Oh, never mind. Just went off as soon as I said that, and just like that, looks like we have somebody going to the front. Or I got a wave around there.
Yeah, Brian McCann with some impressive ratings, a 49.41 I rating and a perfect, by the way, 499 safety rating. So he is certainly somebody who I'm willing to bet does not usually make a penalty like that. So that's probably a very rare mistake for him.
Yeah, it looks like Tim Sheffield in the 12 is going to be the Top Notch Creations lucky dog this time around. So he will be now 4 laps down instead of the 5. So slowly making up some ground. Trying to get back up there. So now that we've got basically 50 laps in, is there anybody catching your eye? Oh, and we're green. Wow, never mind.
Yeah, we are green. Ken Harper,
fast.
I don't know if he spun his tires or what, but an awful start for him and a great restart for Alan Wernicke.
Just about 3 wide back there, coming off a turn 1, 68. Dustin Buck again, who caused that previous caution, is actually sandwiched right now as we're looking at him, and it's not the place you want to be because he's got the oldest tires right now amongst this group.
Yeah, definitely not. And there are several cars 3 wide currently going into turn 1, so this is going to get a little chippy here.
Yeah, this little cluster that we got going on back here in 9th place.
And who's behind it? Brian McCann. So this is going to be interesting to see if that penalty for him really does here, figuratively and literally, if we have a crash happen. And we do have a caution behind them. The 22 also goes around.
It's 22 of Wyatt Hendrick going around. See if there was any caution any contact made.
We have a big wreck that happened on the front stretch. The 14. Take a look at the 14 of Kyle Pendergraft.
All right, so I'm looking at the 14. Looks like this was the major one. 3 wide, goes up. Oh my gosh, completely upside down, collecting that outside wall, and he goes for a ride.
I'm gonna guess that he's got a faster pair coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Now's the time to use it. Let's look at a different angle here, see what happened. So basically battling with the 83 Brian Mefford. Kind of pinched there, 3 wide, the 96 thinks he's got a clear, unfortunately doesn't, and the 14 just comes up on him. And just like that, he goes around and upside down.
Yeah, I mean, just a racing incident there, but yeah, I mean, that's what happens with these restarts. They say cautions breed cautions, so that's definitely what we saw there.
Yeah, Iowa's claiming some more victims here tonight, and let's take a look at Brian McCann up to 13th, so it looks like he's gained 10 spots currently since the last restart. So he's definitely trucking.
Yeah, and he's definitely fortunate there because even though the wreck that brought out the caution happened well behind him, there was actually a spin just above him in reaction to the caution. That was when the 22 went around. So he could have found himself in some trouble there, but luckily he was able to avoid that as the 14 of Pendergraft did indeed get a fast repair there. So he'll be back out with a brand new car.
Yep, coming out of the pits now. So his is done and over with, and hopefully he can stay out of trouble for the rest of the race. But now things are starting to get a little hairy. It's kind of calmed down for a little bit there, and like you're saying, cautions are breeding cautions on top of each other.
Yeah, I mean, you know, once these guys get spread out, it's not as much of an issue. Obviously, we are seeing, you know, some guys getting a little bit of trouble coming off of the turns every now and then. But, you know, when you don't have to worry about reacting to other cars, it definitely helps you be a lot cleaner, especially on a loose track like this. But getting to that point is the hard part.
Absolutely. Take a look along the field here. The top 5 has changed quite a bit. We now have Allen, who took the lead after not pitting and still hasn't pitted. He's still in first. Ken Harper got some left side damage there, nothing too crazy, sitting in second. Cody and Jorgensen, who actually started near the back of the pack, now up to third. He has pitted as well, so he is going to have fresher tires up there. Same with Matt Henry in that number 19 sitting in fourth, also pitting. And Brad McDaniel in the 32 will be the third car in the top 5 that has not pitted yet.
And on the other side of the spectrum, we have the 54 of Chris Quick, who JRT is telling us that he has already come into pit 6 times. So that's the opposite side of the spectrum you see there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, that's, hey, you know, some people have an interesting strategy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I think the strategy that you see going on there is fuel. You know, if you know, fuel does become an issue at a short track, you run out of fuel, you're down at least 2 laps, and your race, it's very difficult to get back into it once you're down 2 or more laps. So, you know, I think that's his strategy there, just coming in each time to top off for fuel, and hoping that he gets a green flag pit stop.
And speaking of pit stops, Mike Harper, another one who's almost catching him, 5 pit stops as well, sitting in 24th spot. So maybe these two are kind of talking with one another. I'm not sure who's all on teams, but maybe they're like, hey man, we gonna pit for the 7th time today? Let's see what happens. Got the pace lights off on the car. Everyone is lining up. It's going to be interesting to see what the top 2 can do, trying to fend off both 3rd and 4th on newer tires.
And hey, we do have the 6 of Jimmy Frazier coming back onto the track. His car looks fantastic compared to what it looked like a little while ago, when it looked like the right side was still on the jack when it wasn't.
He's got some personality to it now. What, 37
Yeah,
laps
definitely.
down? I mean, not terrible, but hey, you're now running out there for points still.
Yeah, very true, very true. And you know, like we said, this is a short track. You're going to have a lot of cautions. You never know how many positions you can make up even that many laps down.
And as you can see, it looks like Alan Warnicki in the 72 kind of stacked up the bottom there. And that bottom row got a terrible restart, but Warnicki got a heck of a restart there as well.
And we see a little bit further back in the field, a few 3 wides to start off there, but a little bit cleaner than what we have seen. We'll see if they can spread out without another caution coming.
Yeah, and amongst that is going to be the 68 of Dustin Buck, again, kind of finding himself in a spot where he doesn't want to be. Ever since he got to basically taking himself out during that wreck, he's been in some really interesting propositions.
Yeah, we see the one, and that's the one of Brian McCann. He is being aggressive right now, trying to get past these couple of cars. He was at the very bottom of the track, so he's definitely fast, but he's got to make sure he doesn't use up those tires either.
Yeah, he's up to 9th spot. I mean, he is rolling right now, knowing that he has to get around this traffic. It's kind of slowing him down. He doesn't want to be involved in any wrecks, and obviously he doesn't want to cause one himself, but he is making some time right now.
Yeah, no question. Almost got into some trouble there. The 92 trying to pinch him just a little bit. Luckily, they're able to keep off of each other, but yeah, definitely some aggressive driving by McCann right now. We'll see if it pays off.
63 of Colt Cecil there in that pink car, following in behind him, trying to see if he can get around these guys. The 92 and the 81 up there, pretty close. Almost looked like they were bump draft on the front stretch there. These guys are trying to make up some ground.
Yeah, they're both trying to hang on to their car right now. They were very loose in turn 4. Oh, the 92 of Gilbalt definitely got into the wall there on the front stretch. He seems to be able to keep it under control, but some damage for him on the right side.
He's currently sitting in 8th spot, so didn't lose too much there.
Yeah, and that's always frustrating. Oh, very loose coming off of 4. I think he was actually giving up the spot. He was trying to let the 63 of Colt Cecil in front of him, and in doing so and trying to stay out of trouble there, he actually clipped the wall. And that's something that can happen. You know, you go into a turn just a little bit higher than you're used to, and all of a sudden that grip isn't there. As he is, man, the 92 is really struggling coming out of turn 4.
And further back in the pack, man, we have some racing going on back here from 13th to about 18th. These guys are using every bit in the 83. Getting a heck of a run off of 2. 33 is going to follow behind him. It's going to bunch up the 45 down low with the 14. The 14 is actually going to get into the back of the 45. Going to bring him back up the track. And now the 3 wide coming off of 4.
Yeah, that is especially where you don't want to be 3 wide. Coming off of that turn 4, very loose coming onto the front stretch. So very lucky not to have an incident there.
Yeah, 45 does a great job. 14 just kind of digging. Getting up there, not really getting around him though. Like you can kind of see wherever the 45 is going, the 14 is kind of sticking with him. Oh, I didn't realize that was a pantograph there. So he's got a whole new race car. He's just trying to get back up there.
And boy, the 96 of David Trumbley falling way back right now. He is in a lot of trouble, not able to get to the inside of the track.
Yeah,
he might have an issue.
Yeah, he's eating that wall quite a bit. You can see the right front damage there. The hoods is a little bit propped open. The air getting underneath of it. It's going to slow him down quite a bit, and he's actually falling off pace a lot right now.
Yeah, he is way off pace. I'm not sure what's going on there.
He's going to be passed by this little group here. He's just kind of sticking to that high line, so not sure what's going on with 96 of David Trumbull, but trouble in paradise.
Yeah, he was in that battle with the 22 car, excuse me, the 92 car earlier of Jeffrey Gilbalt, and that seems to have done some damage to his car.
Take a look back up front. Matt Henry up to 2nd. Brian McCain now up to 5th after a couple of restarts back and getting a penalty for speeding in pit road. Fell all the way back to 23rd. Has now made himself back up to the top 5 and working on the number 2 of Neil Quick for a 4th place position. Kevin McCain, our current race leader, up there. Looks like Alan Warnicki dropped down to 7th during the time we were looking at the battle in the back of the pack. So losing a couple spots. Again, he's the only one in the top 10 right now that has not pitted. So someone who's really hold on to them tires is Alan.
Yeah, and another guy making a move again. Brian McCann has worked his way up to 4th place. It looks like the 2 car of Neil Quick is going to try the crossover move. We'll see if he can keep it under control out of turn 4. He's able to, but McCann going to end up with the position, as he has done a great job of working right back through the field and getting back into this one.
McCann is definitely becoming a favorite, that's for sure. He knows how to race, and he's making it look easy tonight.
Well, that was Tim's pick. So we'll see if he can. I think the biggest competition is going to be his brother Kevin. He definitely has a strong car tonight, no question about that.
Absolutely, and if anyone in chat knows their relationship and would like to correct us, that would be great. We're just assuming that they're related in some way.
They're both in the Carolinas club, so I think it's a pretty safe bet. But who knows?
It'd be cool if it's like father-son type situation. Oh, the 34 on the front stretch, as you just saw right there, by himself around, and
yeah, no caution
green.
yet.
Yeah, still green.
He's able to get it going again as I think it's going to stay under green.
Oh, 22 just kind of dived.
Yeah, that's assuming nobody else gets into him, as the 11 looks like just got into the wall as well.
Andrew Clark there trying to hold on to it. He's 3 laps down, currently sitting in 28th. David, it looks like he was a fast repair. He was off pace quite a bit. Looks like the damage was causing that to happen. Unfortunately, it took him 3 laps down and a fast repair to get that fixed. So, yeah, unfortunately, 96 not having a good night here tonight.
And right now, leader Kevin McCann has worked himself up to a 2.5 lead over second place of Matt Henry. So, yeah, I mean, no question, Kevin McCann has definitely dominated this race thus far, but still plenty of laps to go as we're not even halfway done yet. Or actually just over halfway done now.
Yeah, looking at the lap times in the top 10, it actually looks like Jesse B. King in 55. Currently the fastest, but not by much, only by 0.2 of a second off the leader of Kevin McCann. So Jesse has a fast car, a whole almost 0.02 of a second faster than Matt Henry, who's currently sitting in second position. He's trying to take away right now.
Yeah, King is definitely running equal laps to McCann now. Matt Henry actually did have a fast lap there, a 25.498 compared to McCann's 25.584. So these top 3 are running very even right now.
Look back, we got Brian still sitting on 4th. I do believe that was a lap car he just passed there, quick, on 54. Looked like he had some issues. I do believe he was the one that spun out in the front stretch and did not bring out a caution. And everyone's starting to settle down now, it looks like.
Yeah, very spread out right now. We do have a battle for the 21st spot between the 32 of Brad McDaniel and the 12 of Tim Schofield, and that got spread out pretty quick. Schofield took that without much of an issue.
I'm looking above here.
Oh, we do have a tight battle for the second spot. Matt Henry and Jesse King, as they almost got into each other coming off of turn 4, but luckily were able to keep it clean. But a good battle going on there. And King not out of it yet. He has a nice run coming off the backstretch.
Yeah, we see Henry there almost collecting the outside wall in the backstretch. But as this battle is going on, Kevin McCann is just going to run away with this thing.
Oh, yeah, he loves it.
Now almost 2.5 seconds off of second place. But Brian McCann, as you see, coming into the picture now, looking on the inside of Jesse King into turn 1. Can't quite get it, so he's going to line it back up. And now we got a 3-way battle up here for the front and up in the front.
Yeah, and Brian just has a different style. He's able, well, I was about to say he's been able to keep the car very stable coming out of the turns, but that time he did get very loose coming off of 4. But overall, he has done a great job. I think he's doing a really good job of saving those tires. I think we're really seeing him kind of separate himself from the rest of the field. He's able to be aggressive, but he's also able to keep his tires in mind. And when you can do that, you're a dangerous car. In a good way, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell he's taking a totally different line than that of Jesse B. King in the 55 and Matt Henry in the 19. Kind of sticking to that yellow line, whereas the 55 and the 19 are actually using that mid-groove. That's a common groove you see here in Iowa in most cars. You don't really see too many guys going down low, but McCain is making it work. He's getting a good run in, but I don't think he's getting that run out he needs.
Yeah, he's diving into the turn so early, which I thought would be bad for the tires, because once when you go in that low, it's very easy for the tires to spin as they, to slide as you're in the middle of the turn. But he's able to make it work. He's definitely, definitely not abusing the tires. But Yeah, it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see whether he sticks to that line for the entire race or if he decides to do something else as these tires continue to wear down.
And these two guys are battling it out. You're wondering who's using more tires. Is it Keenan at mid-groove, or is it McKinnon down in the low groove? And I still think I'm with you on that. The low groove is probably the place you don't want to stay, but at the same time, oh, just like that, there's a wreck in front.
Oh, boy.
No, Matt Henry taking that one as we were riding on board on Brian McCann, and we saw an incident right in front of him. Take a look, see who was part of that accident.
Dustin, we were talking about Dustin Buck earlier with his, fairly aggressive driving, and it looks like he was into the wall and just continued to come down into turn 3. So I think he was having some issues there with grip.
Yeah, so you see Benfield in the 66 just come out of nowhere. Like the 68 of Dustin Buck, and that's when all the chaos was happening. So let's take a look at the 66 here and see what happened. Someone there in the green car. Okay, yep. 68 of Dustin Buck just kind of came down on top. 66 couldn't really go anywhere. Unfortunately, the 19 having a strong run up front, sitting in second, just has nowhere to go. Doubt we're going to see any pit stops, I'm sure. I mean, Alan Warnicki in the 72, okay, he is actually in now. I was going to say he still hasn't pitted, but he has taken his first pit stop on lap 88. Finally getting them fresh tires. Curious to know what that tire wear looks like for him.
Yeah, what's going to be really interesting is whether Jesse B. King can continue his strong run with that damage as he is coming onto pit road. I think we are going to see a fast repair for him.
It doesn't look terrible from our point of view. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit of a graphical glitch right now, because originally the damage looked worse and then it kind of looked like it fixed itself in the graphics. So I don't know. I'm really not sure how damaged he is right now.
We'll see if King can get it fixed and get back up there. And
yep, he did a quick repair.
Speaking of damage, Matt Henry. I don't know if he's already used a fast repair, but he's 2 laps down. Literally being in second place and the caution happens in front of you and you don't react in time, he's not using a fast repair if he has one.
Nah, he definitely must not have one left if he's not repairing, because that wouldn't make much sense. But yeah, very frustrating for him.
Take a look. Let's see if we can. Do we have time? I want to actually talk.
And we have some breaking news. The 32 of Brad McDaniel taking a bathroom break.
Let's see if.
And he decided to park on the backstretch. That's interesting there.
Who was that?
The 32 of Brad McDaniel.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna delay this. Yeah, you can see he's just kind of hanging out. I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get a hold of Hunter Clark. It's not Hunter Clark. Sorry, Matt Henry. Is he in Discord? Doesn't look like it. I wanted to see if he had a I mean, obviously he probably doesn't have fast repair, but it's just weird because he hasn't really been in danger much this race, or really in any wrecks that we've seen. So kind of interesting to see why he's opting out. He does have it.
Yeah, he's been on pit road for almost 4 minutes now. So yeah, I mean, he must have used the quick repair at some point.
And I'm not sure if Paul, looks like Wick trying to see who's going to get the lucky dog here, because Paul Buzzle in the number 9 is a lap down and in 18th, but it looks like people are passing him, so may have already gave the lucky dog to Chris Quick. Oh, and speaking of Chris Quick, he is spinning in the front stretch. Not sure what happened there, but I don't know if he was trying to go to the pits and just kind of messed it up.
Well, he was coming out of the pits, so I think it's been a
hard.
while. It's been a while since these guys have been on fresh, cold tires. So
Yeah.
I think that might have been the issue there. That's one way to scuff up your tires.
Yeah, he just coming in way hot, and yeah, I want to see that. But we're green again, and we got Kevin and Brian back up front. Brian finally making his way, basically been everywhere tonight in the pack, and now he's going to be racing for the first place position. See if he can take it.
Yeah, McCann again, basically where he's been all night, gets off to a nice start.
Brian's right there with him, and not a whole lot going on behind them. Jeffrey and Colt.
And we have another caution.
Oh no. Who is it?
It looks like the 66 went around, but I don't think he's the cause of the caution. Oh, you know what? He was going to come into pit. He got a penalty on the restart. He was about to come in and serve a black flag, but the caution came out, so he ended up staying out. So he is not the cause of that.
Let's take a look. See if we can find where this was happening.
Take a look at the 42 of Josh and Paulo's.
42? Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so you see 42 there all alone, getting loose off of 4, coming back up the track. Luckily, nobody is near him. Everyone gets out of that one quite easily.
I'm almost surprised that brought out a caution. I guess he was slow enough to where he was considered out of control.
Yeah, iRacing's like, we're not gonna have that here. Luckily, everybody missing that one, so no one really in danger. Tires probably not terrible. I didn't really slide too much besides the hard braking, but that's going to bring out our caution, which we're looking at 6 cautions. It's brought to you by Loud Pedal Gaming. Currently 5 lead changes, and we've been under caution for 26 laps. So, not terrible for a 150 lap race, honestly. But they've also been pretty, like, one after another almost.
And, you know, one thing that is interesting to see, the best lap of the race is a 24.475. You would assume that it's been by Kevin McCann, but it actually hasn't been. It was by Jesse B. King, the number 55 car. He has bested McCann's best lap by 3/1000ths of a second. So very, very close time there.
And he's making his way back up as well, too, as he was involved in an earlier caution as well. Back up to 12th, and with those type of lap times, I mean, it's going to be like a Brian McCann all over again. He's going to make his way back up there, no problem.
Yeah, and I was about to say, you see who is officially undone his black flag penalty. Brian McCann has made his way all the way back up to 2nd place, so he's right back in this one.
The penalties are not slowing him down, so now he's just got to try to, you know, he's going to take it easy and see what happens, wait for it to open. He's going to race Kevin McCann hard. I have to see here. I'm not sure what kind of relationship these guys have on the track, but right now, Kevin and Brian are the 2 to beat.
And we now have our answer for Matt Henry. Apparently, he scraped the wall early in this race, and during one of the early cautions did come in and forgot to uncheck the fast repair. So he did use it up early on by mistake. So that is a detrimental mistake there, and just one that can happen to literally anybody.
And that's unfortunate. Yeah, for those of you who don't know and don't obviously race in iRacing, everything is checked on by default. So even after you come into the pits and you uncheck everything that you don't want to be used while you're in pit lane, that will reset itself once you're done with that pit stop. So that's your windshield tears off, which literally take forever, and your quick repairs. If you unclick that quick repair and you don't use it, it's going to click itself back on the next time around. So unfortunately, if you don't pay attention to it, something like that happens to Henry is very common in this scene.
Yeah, and there is, you know, I don't know if I'm telling anybody something that they might be interested to know, but there is actually a setting in iRacing's files that allow you to change that setting so that nothing resets as you come off pit road. So it's hard to get used to, but I set mine to do that a couple of weeks ago. And once you get used to it, it is definitely good to have because, you know, and especially with the tire limits now, because it helps prevent you from accidentally taking an extra set of tires when you don't mean to.
And I need to figure out what that is because that would help out a ton, especially when the admin set up the servers wrong and you have unlimited quick repairs but can't use them. The pace lights are off on the car as we are coming into turn 3. Both McCanns up front. Neil Quick in third. Colt Cecil in 63 and fourth. And Jeffrey Bolt in 92 and fifth. Let's see who takes it as we're about to go green.
And I tell you what, I feel like there might have been a little collaboration among relatives there because both McCanns got off to a very, very good start there. Everybody else was just kind of reacting to them.
Yeah, I mean, you would think if your love for sports and being siblings and or some sort of family member, you would probably have to work together. I'm sure once you get to that last lap, last 5 laps, the gloves are going to come off, and it's whoever can get back to the line first. Like, I love seeing family members getting involved together.
And another caution.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm seeing it back here. The 12 and the 81 have some damage. Ken Harper and
the 14 is in trouble. Kyle Pendergraft, and it looks like the 15 of Vincent Short is the one that got in trouble there. He got into the wall along the front stretch and just couldn't get off of it. By the time he did, he ended up getting himself in even more trouble.
Yeah, Harper's got a ton of damage as well too at the front.
Oh yeah, there was a big contact with the 81 of Ken Harper. Yeah, he is. Right. If he hasn't used the fast repair yet, he's definitely using it here.
Take a look at this and see what Ken Harper got into.
Yeah, take a look at Vincent Short here. He's the one that got into the wall, and it's something that's very difficult to do. Once you get attached to that wall, it just sticks to your car. It's very difficult to get off the wall once you're on it. You really have to slow the car down, and by the time he did, it caused him to go down the track almost into the third lane, and unfortunately that's where Vincent Short, excuse me, not Vincent Short, but the other, whoever it was that right behind him that got in trouble there, it was the 14 of Kyle Pendergraft that ended up getting into him there. So just an unfortunate set of circumstances there.
And it looked like the 15 just was losing a lot of control on the front stretch, got on the wall a couple of times, got real loose, and then just kind of got into it. But now I'm seeing Kyle was ahead of this wreck. Okay, actually no, Short was in front of him. Okay. So Short was in front, gets into the wall, just cuts down in front of the 14 of Kyle. Hood coming flying up. Luckily, I don't know. I mean, that's scary, both virtually and in the real world. I couldn't even imagine what it looks like from his point of view. But with technology, we can actually see what it looks like from his point of view.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Just like that.
Wow.
Is complete darkness. Hopefully your spotter is taking you to safety there.
Yeah, I hope he knows the track well, because that has to be difficult.
So a lot
That's
of
like
cars.
I don't for any NASCAR fans. Remember Denny Hamlin at Sonoma? He had to nurse his car all the way to pit road, and really did a fantastic job of doing it. But yeah, I mean that's one of the scariest things you can be a part of in a car, because not only are do you have to worry about your own car from getting more damage, but you also have to make sure you don't pull out in front of anybody that's behind you. So that's definitely a scary situation there.
Absolutely, and looking at the standings as well too, coming into this race, with Chris Wally winning the last race at Daytona, racking him up 47 points, putting him in first. Both Brian and Kevin are actually second and third in points, but Brian is 10 points ahead of Kevin McCann right now for that second spot. So Kevin I don't think Kevin's going to give this away too easily, because those points are really going to matter. He's actually probably hoping Brian gets into a little bit of trouble just so he can make up some ground.
We might be seeing a little bit of a Kurt Busch Kyle Busch relationship going on here.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, points are points, and you don't have friends when you're trying to win a championship. While we're at this caution, again, we do want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors that are helping with the series here in IROC. Signature Esports over at facebook.com/Signature Esports. You got R&R Racewear over at rnrracewear.com. Loud Pedal Gaming over at facebook.com/Loud Pedal Gaming, and Top Notch Creations over at facebook.com/Top Notch Diecast. These guys making it possible for us to both broadcast and allowing the league here to give us some good racing, honestly. Pace car lights are off. 105 laps completed. Almost there, and it has been a wild ride. Hopefully everyone's enjoying tonight's broadcast, and we're getting close to crowning a winner here.
Yes, it's going to be really exciting here on this restart to see if Neil Quick and Colt Cecil can react a little bit quicker to the front two, as they definitely weren't able to stick with them on that restart. And with the two McCanns, they are obviously very, very fast at this track tonight. So they cannot afford to fall too far behind them.
Absolutely not. And as we see them coming into the picture, Kevin getting a nice little run. Probably didn't tell Brian what was happening. Looks like that one got a little slow, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, they definitely did a good job there. Got off to a much better start this time around.
Just like that, both the McCanns battling each other, the one hungry to take this position away on that back bumper of Kevin.
And we have a battle for third place right now, as not only did the two of Neil Quick, as he's fighting back in the second lane, but he temporarily lost third position. And but yeah, he had a nice run coming off the backstretch and was able to get it back. We'll see if he can keep it right here.
And it's going through the race. Oh, the 63 getting kind of tight there. Luckily, the two still had some track left and managed to stay out of that inside or outside wall. But yeah, it looks like, honestly, that midline seems to be working really well at this track.
Yeah, for everybody except the two McCanns, who just continue to attack that low lane in both turns. It's been very interesting to see, but obviously it's working out. It might be one of those times where if you can handle it, it's fast. We almost had a spin there.
3 and the 15 going at it. It's almost second time now.
And we do have a caution. Take a look at the 11 of Hunter Clark. He was the one in the middle of that.
Hunter Clark there at the bottom of the screen, that purple car coming up on Quick in the 54. Taking out 22, goes into the wall, nowhere to go there. Luckily, not too many people involved. Again, people just attacking and bombing that line, that inside line, is where they're really messing up. There's progressive banking here. So when you're going from a high-end banking down to a low-end banking with so much speed, you're gonna spin. That rear end, and especially in the ARCA cars already being loose in the rear, is gonna make you you're just gonna turn around like nothing. It's like ice skating.
Oh yeah, big time, especially at this track. And you know, I'll tell you what, we're at the point in the race to where you see that lap counter just, you know, for the laps to go section just getting lower and lower and lower, and you know, you're gonna see this aggressive driving, you know, trying to overtake these guys in the turns at a track where you're sliding enough as it is. So the last thing that you want to do is overcook a turn and try a slide job, because it is not going to work here. And I don't think that's what he was trying to do. I think he just got in a little bit too low. He was trying to nurse the car as he was coming back up the track, and unfortunately when there's a car there's just not a whole lot you can do at that point.
Yeah, and another thing to be mindful of as well too, Hunter Clark is 3 laps down, sitting at 25th, and the 22 unfortunately got into that outside wall. It doesn't look like he has a whole lot of damage. He's sitting in 4th. So points between both the 22nd in his mind versus the 11 of Hunter Clark, it's almost like night and day. Hunter Clark is racing the other guys a lap down, and the 22 is actually racing for position, trying to make his way through the standings. So it's rough to be in that position where a lap car tends to be a little bit more aggressive than it needs to be. And if you are like that, you can cause a lot of problems for those that are on the lead lap trying to possibly secure a win.
And by the way, while all that was going on, we had a lot of drivers come in to take that final set of tires. Now, somebody to keep in mind is Alan Warnecki, the 72. He has still only pit once in this race, so he is truly taking a gamble. He is wanting you know, if you're in his shoes right now, you want about a 20 to 30 lap run and then a caution. If that happens for him, he is in terrific shape, because he can come in, get the fresh tires, but there's also, at that point, there's still enough laps to where he can quickly make his way through the field. So that is a gamble by him. We'll see if it pays off. It's going to be very exciting to see if it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we've been seeing Alan doing pretty much the whole night here. He's pushing those tires as far as he can, and clearly he's comfortable with the old tires. But in the long run, when you have both, you know, well, actually McCain, okay, the 2 McCains dropped to 7th and 8th. I was going to say, if you have the McCains breathing down your neck on old tires while they're on new tires, that's probably the last place you'd want to be.
Exactly. So, you know, the fact that he does have a few cars behind him, so that's a little bit of a security blanket. I mean, I don't think that he's restarting with the intent of keeping the lead very long. I mean, I think he's definitely, I don't think you're gonna see him, you know, try to sit there and block this whole time. I think, you know, once they get to him, I think he's gonna let them by, but with the hope that a caution does come out before too long. He doesn't want it to come out too soon. But, you know, if he can get about a 15 to 20 lap run here and then have a caution, he is officially in very good shape at that point. Another car that has only pit once in this race is Brad McDaniel. He's the 32 car, back in 16th currently. So he's another one that might be trying to take a gamble there.
Yeah, the big thing with Brad McDaniel there sitting in the 16th spot is he is currently sitting 8th in points. Coming out with the top 10 in Daytona, 30 points in on the standings, so 8th place right now for his standing. So those points again are going to be very important for him. Going to want to make his way up there as quick as he can. Did I just see the 11 get into somebody under pacing? Maybe not. Maybe he just like glitched out for a second. I saw the damage on the front of the car and I saw smoke and I was like, wait a second.
There were some cars checking up on the backstretch in front of him that last lap, but I don't think any contact actually. Oh, you know what? Something did. Yeah, there was some contact. It was in front of the 11.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna have to check who that was, but what delayed? Okay, we got a delayed yellow. It looks like. Right,
yeah, I think everybody's still trying to sort themselves out. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I just saw who was it? The 68? Dustin Buck. Oh boy. I just saw on this restart, man, he took off to the outside. As you can see on the screen now, it was crazy. I mean, it's completely legal to pass on the high end, but you got to make sure the leader is going to pass the start-finish line before you do anything. And yeah, I thought Buck was about to get a huge run there. So not sure what the delayed or really another caution
according to Brian McCann, there was the pace car glitched apparently. So this must be one of those tracks where there is an issue with the pace car every now and then. As now we are under green.
Yep, now we're green flagged there. Interesting. That's scary because that could have spelled disaster for a lot of people who did not know what was going on.
Yeah, that was an issue at Bristol where the pace car would sometimes just all of a sudden, or actually the pace car wouldn't go in and yet the green flag would fly. And so everybody would just kind of question, well, what do we do now? It says green flag, but the pace car's still out. Well, turns out you're supposed to, once it says green, you're supposed to go. So
and
that was...
I don't know if this is a scheduled pit stop, but Kevin McCann is in the pits right now.
That is definitely interesting. No way that's a scheduled pit stop. And as the caution does come out, so that might pay off for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I just saw him out of the corner of my eye just swoop down low and take the pit lane. He almost got into somebody. I'm going to actually take a look at this real quick. All I saw was orange cut to the bottom. Okay, he got off safely. Interesting. Curious to know what that's about.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. That's really interesting there.
And did you see what caused this caution? Because man, Joshua's got a lot of damage on the 15.
One of them was the number 5 of Chris Wally. He went around. The 15 of Joshua Funkhauser went around. The 77 of John Stapleton, the 68 of Dustin Buck. That was a pretty decent sized crash there.
Yeah, so we're looking at the 15 of Funkhauser. Oh, the
and
68.
Oh yeah, 68.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the 68 once again involved in another accident, and that's another thing you hate to see too. It's hard, like it's in the moment, and a lot of people are always like, hold the brake, hold the brake. You don't want to come traveling back down the track and collect more people. And I think what ends up happening with most drivers that may not either A, be used to it, or B, doesn't wreck very often, is holding the brake. As you can see there with the 15, he got into the 68 of, who's that there?
Dustin Buck.
Yeah, Dustin Buck got into 68 of Dustin Buck, and then you kind of get to see either he's frustrated and he's like, oh, what the heck, and he kind of comes back down the track and collects the 5 of Chris Wally on top of that. So, yeah, Chris Wally, man, it's not having a good day either.
Yeah, these last couple of laps have just kind of been, I mean, just flat out screwed up. We had the caution, the green flag, only to go right back to a caution because of apparently of a glitched pace car. We've got the guy that's been dominating the entire race coming in for, who knows why. We have quite a few questions that need to be answered, and I wish we had those answers, but we just don't right now.
Yeah, we're going to take another look at this from 68. Right there, you see Chris Wally in the 5 and the 15, all right there clustered together. You're going to see the 68 get loose out of 2. Collects the 5, 15, just like I said, nowhere to go. And unfortunately, the 12 is the victim to that wreck as well. But you got to ask yourself, if you were Dustin Buck in that 68, you've now been involved in, I don't know, 4 wrecks currently. When is enough?
Yeah, I mean, it is a loose track. But yeah, I mean, at some point you do have to sit back and say, okay, you don't want to ruffle feathers because they can also, come back to haunt you in later races. I mean, obviously he's not doing it on purpose, and he has been the victim of some bad luck. But But yeah, I mean, you definitely have to keep that in mind, even if you are an innocent victim in wrecks. Usually, if you're involved in multiple wrecks, there's a reason for it. So, just a bad day for him. I mean, I'm sure he'll bounce back.
And while we're under this caution, I do want to bring in. I want to bring in Chris Wally, one of the admins. Hey, Chris, this is Josh in the booth. You got a copy? Hey, Chris, this is Josh in the booth. You got a copy? Not sure he can hear us. I hear his light going off.
I got you.
Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, man. So it looks like just a ton of bad luck. He just can't seem to get away from the wrecks tonight. What's been going on from your side?
Yeah, man, just wrong place, wrong time. That's what it's been all night. Moving forward, I've gone to the back and moved to the front twice, at least in the top 10. Just, again, wrong spot, wrong time.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to put you back down there. I know we're about to go green. Just wanted to check in on you and see how you're doing.
Yeah, man, appreciate all that y'all do.
All right. So, yeah, just probably a little bit of frustration there from Chris Wally, but pace lights are off, and Alan still up front. Guys are clustering together real close. And green flag is in the air.
And Wernicke does get off to a good start, so we'll see. I mean, I don't expect him to be able to hold the lead, but the more laps he can lead, the better off he'll be once he does come back in to get those fresh tires.
Yeah, now with 123 laps under his belt, we're getting close to the end. It's really going to be crunch time, and his strategy might actually pay off. Depending on how long this stays green for, the strategy seems to be working.
Exactly. I mean, it all depends on when a caution comes out, if another caution comes out. I do think we'll see another one. There's been enough, slipping and sliding to think that there will be another one. But yeah, I mean, who knows? It could go green the rest of the way, and he would definitely be in trouble if that does happen. But so far, he's impressing me. He's able to hold his own. Now he is getting caught by Jesse King, but so far a very good job on those old tires.
As we're coming to the line, we got 25 laps to go. I don't think he's going to be able to hold off Jesse King. I mean, Jesse's been really fast. He's been up front for most of the night alongside Brian McCann and unfortunately the Kevin McCann, who now is in the back of the pack. But yeah, he's easily going to take the spot away from Allen if he can catch him.
Yeah, but what this is telling me is that new tires aren't necessarily as much of an advantage as I was thinking originally. I thought there would be a lot more runoff than there are, but Wernicke is proving that you can still be competitive out there with older tires.
And back here for fourth, we do have a battle between No Quick and Paul Buzzle on the 9. Quick is going to take that spot away from him fairly quickly. Also going to have another battle I saw back here. Jarrett in 33, by the way, and Mike Harper in 4. So now with the laps slowly or quickly starting to wind down, these guys are making their moves.
And you know who must feel really awkward right now is Brian McCann, because he wants there to be a caution, or excuse me, he doesn't want there to be a caution because of the fact that his brother is a lap down. So he's got to feel awkward about that. He's got to feel bad for his brother, but at the same time, when you're racing for points, you gotta sometimes just accept the breaks that you get and go with it.
As you saw McCann, Jesse King in 55 taking away that spot from Wernicke. Now Brian McCann, trying to take that spot away and Allen getting a little loose off the turn too, but I think those tires are starting to affect him a little bit.
Yeah, I think now that they've heated up a little bit, I think that's when we're now starting to see the difference between the new and old ones, because for a couple of laps he was able to hold his own, but those new tires are very, very slippery for the first couple of laps, but then once they start to heat up, they do grip the track better, and I think that's what we're seeing now.
So it just took a couple of laps for them to kind of get up to temp, and now he's kind of paying for it, but we'll see how long he can hold on to it, as McCann is going to be battling King there for first. I'm going to take a look in the back of the pack. Wow, we got a battle back here. It's 3 wide with Paul Buzzell in the lead. Coming in the front stretch. We got some other guys piling up as well too. Mike Harper and the 4 cars joining this battle. And 63, who is a lap down, I do believe, of Colt Cecil. 3 laps down is inside this as well.
And meanwhile, we are having a battle for the lead. McCann was able to get under King. King was able to clear him coming off of turn 4, but we are going to see those two side by side within a lap or two. Might even see it right here going into 3.
Let's take a look and see this lap. Wow, King ran a 24.2. That's insane.
That is impressive.
That's the fastest lap of the night, and even in qualifying. Oh man, and they are on each other right now. Now King has kind of slowed down. His pace has slowed down quite a bit, almost a full second from his best lap to now.
And meanwhile, look who's right back in the mix. Warnecki enjoying the battle that these two are having as he's getting himself back into the mix.
Yeah, amongst the top 3, actually Allen is running the fastest lap, 2/10 faster than Brian McCann in that number 1, and only a little over a 10th faster than Jesse. So he's coming back. It's odd seeing the older tires are actually still pretty competitive.
And it's crazy. These 3 that are involved, we are seeing Brian McCann with a 49.41 I rating, which for those who aren't in iRacing that's a pretty high I rating. That's top split material, versus a Jesse King who has a 18.04 I rating, and Alan Warnecki who has a 16.81 I rating. So that's a big difference between the 4,000s and the 1,000s, but they are doing a great job.
Got loose right there on the front stretch. I don't know if he thought maybe King was not clear in front of King and kind of got nervous, but definitely checked up quite a bit, and that's going to allow the 2 of Neil Quick to join in on this battle, and even Brandon Mefford, someone we haven't talked about really at all tonight, up in the top 5 now joining the battle with a gap between them of 2 seconds from 5th to 6th to the leader.
Yeah, this is really heating up, and so now if you're Alan Warnecki, if you're gonna have a caution, you want it to be, I mean, literally right now. Past lap 140, I think at that point he's hoping that it goes green because of the position he's in. And if he can get a top 3 finish, that is really impressive for just one set of tires throughout this race. He is driving his rear end off for this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to know his secrets. Those would come in handy for me. I cannot save tires to save my life. So we're running down 139 laps at end. Almost 10 laps to go as we cross the line. It's going to heat up. Top 5 right there neck to neck. Each one about a 10th off of one another. Man, this is going to be an exciting finish, I feel like.
And for Alan Warnecki, he's trying to get back into the mix for 2nd place, but meanwhile, while the 55 of Jesse King and Warnecki battle it out, the number 1 of Brian McCann is pulling away. He has trailed his brother for the majority of this race, but now that his brother is a lap down, as we do have a car on the tri-oval, and this changes everything.
Wow. Yeah, you don't want to see it. A lap 141 in, and we got a caution with 9 laps to go.
And this is your worst nightmare if you're Warnecki, because this is a really tough decision. Do you come in and get that final set of tires? He is one of the only ones on the track left with an extra set of tires, but he would have a lot of track position to make up. So I would not want to be in his shoes right now because that is a
No.
very tough decision.
Yeah, absolutely not. And that's just where pit strategy kind of comes and bites you in the butt. You have it set. You don't know what's going to happen during the race. You go in with the mindset of this is what I'm going to do. But at any point during that time, you got to make changes. We've seen quite a bit of cautions, and so maybe he's thinking, okay, I can extend my pit window a lot further than most of these guys. As he's already proven, he's literally the only car besides Brad McDaniel in the 32 sitting in 16th who's only pitted once. That's on the lead.
And while we're talking about that, the number 14 of Kyle Pendergraft was actually asking us to show the replay from his perspective. I got a chance to look at it just now, and yeah, you definitely want to see this. This was some impressive maneuvering there.
Take a look back to this bad boy up. All right, let's go on board with him. Let's see what he did the bottom leads of this one. Stapleton up there in front of him. Oh, Harper and Quick get into it. McDaniel around. Oh, man, almost gets a piece of McDaniel there. That is... Anytime I avoid a wreck that's like that, I feel like nothing else matters. Like, I don't care how the rest of my night is going. If I have wreck avoidance like that, I've done something great.
Oh, big time. I mean, it does. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't matter what happens after that. Like, even if you crash out and finish dead last, hey, you had a highlight-worthy you did a highlight-worthy job of avoiding a wreck. I mean, that's sometimes just as rewarding as a top 5 finish. I wouldn't say it's rewarding as a win, but you know, pretty close to it.
Oh man, just him in the 32 just gets so close with McDaniel there. I'm surprised he did not take any front end damage off of that.
Yeah, a couple more feet further, and that would have resulted in some damage, but a great job of being able to avoid that.
Yeah, we already know Pendergraft, such an interesting last name. We already know, I mean, his hood has came up over the windshield, so I doubt he wanted to see that again, and luckily he avoids that.
Yeah, he has had an interesting race, to say the least. Now, while we were taking a look at that, Alan Warnecki did not come in, so he is staying out on those older tires. He's done a great job with them so far. We'll see if he can hold on to that top 3 position, maybe even fight for a second place.
Yeah, that's a tough position to be put in. Track position is very important. With him not being in the top 10 in points, he's definitely seeing a points opportunity happening, and if he can take a top 5, honestly, with the performance he's gave with only 1 pit stop, I would be pretty happy with that. Obviously, at the end of the day, you want to win a race, but I mean, man, he's led some laps. He's been up front. He's done a fantastic job.
And by the way, do you want to take a guess at who the lucky dog was?
Was it Quick?
Kevin McCann.
Oh, interesting.
So he's definitely going to have his work cut out for him, but I would not count him out. He has had a dominant race up until that apparent penalty. We still don't have a for sure answer of what happened to him, but yeah, I would not count him out at all.
Yeah, so the Top Notch Creations Lucky Dog Award is going to go to Kevin McCann, who's going to now be on the lead lap in 15th. Honestly, he still has plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna restart with 4 to go, I believe, or maybe 5.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Are lights still on? No, lights
No,
are
they're off.
So we are going to be going green this time by. Yeah, this finish is going to be pretty insane.
Yeah,
So,
this is where it's going to get hectic. If you thought it was wild before, just wait.
green flag in the air. Brian McCann getting a great restart, something he definitely needed. Those guys are bunched up. Quick there in the 2 and the 83 of Brian Medford almost made contact going into turn 1. Brian has completely shut the door on Allen. Almost 6/10 or 6/100 ahead. coming off of turn 4. And Quick and Medford back here still battling for that 4th place position. It's actually kind of calming, surprisingly.
Yeah, not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought these guys would be, dive bombing each other all over the place, but they've done a nice job so far of being able to keep it clean.
4 laps to go, 3 as they cross the line. Everyone single file all the way up to about 12th position. So maybe someone's waiting for an accident or a mistake to happen and they can cleanly take position. I'm not sure, but Allen's still in this. He's gaining that gap between him and Brian. Not by much, but he's gaining it.
Yeah, that's unreal. I mean, we did see that we didn't have as much of a green flag run as in the second half as we did the first half, but still, I thought that he would be in a lot of trouble out there with the older tires. But man, he has done a fantastic job of being able to stay competitive.
Yeah, we went ahead and brought up the lap times of both these guys to see what they're running as they cross. Brian is going to cross that 24.9 and 25 for Allen. I mean, not too terribly off, literally hundreds off.
And by the way, this is the white flag.
Oh, wow, just like that. And Allen actually, it looks like he got loose off of turn 2.
Yeah, he did. He's driving it as hard as he can, but it's not going to be enough.
And Quick and Jesse battling on the low end, coming off of 4. Everyone keeping it clean, coming across the line, and Brian McCann is going to take this one away. Alan Warnecki, the 72 finishing 2nd. Jesse B. King finishing 3rd. Honestly, I'm proud of them. They kept it clean. I was expecting it to be a lot harder than what it was. And they managed to basically just... It's kind of like a gentleman's game at this point.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Kevin McCann, I was going to give him a ton of credit if there was another caution, because I noticed what he did during that restart was he actually laid back. You thought that he would have been real aggressive trying to get back up there, but because he had the lucky dog, he had to stay at the end of the lead lap on that restart. And so rather than trying to get past those lap cars and try to fight for position, he was betting that there would be another caution so that he would be able to restart ahead of those lap cars, and then at that point he would have been more aggressive. Unfortunately, he didn't get that break, but that's a veteran move right there, knowing the situation that you're in and trying to stay out of trouble in order to have a better shot at it with a green-white checker. It just didn't work out for him that time.
Absolutely, and we're going to be talking to the top 3, so definitely stick around for the interviews. But Brian McCain gonna take it home here at Iowa, and man, unfortunately, hate to see it with his brother down there in 15th. So that's the heartbreaking night for Kevin. Unfortunately, doing really well, but man, what an exciting finish! Like I said, nice and clean. And we're actually going to talk to, I'm not sure who all's in Discord, but Jesse King. I'm going to try to get a word with him. Hey, Jesse, this is Josh and Alan in the booth. Got a copy?
10-4.
All right, man. Well, you had a heck of a run here in Iowa. Can you kind of walk us through what the strategy was coming into tonight's race?
Yeah, strategy for me really going in was just stay out of trouble early and see what happens at the end. I know I made a couple mistakes midway through the race that cost me, but luckily we had a fast repair and I was able to drive back up front. Just run out of tires, man. I just burned them off.
Yeah, it seemed you and Alan there were battling pretty hard for that 2nd place position, and Allen surprisingly only pitted once that whole race. I don't know how he did it, but he still stayed pretty competitive. How hard was it to try to get around him?
After that second to last restart, about 3 laps, it was pretty tough. But after that, I realized I was on better tires than him. But I think I just burned him up, trying to get around him type deal. And it just ended up hurting me in the end. Hats off to Allen, man. That was a hell of a run.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a fun race, and y'all kept it clean there at the end. I was expecting it to just be cutthroat all the way through, but the guys up there in the top 10, I mean, y'all did a heck of a job keeping that clean for the final laps. Congratulations, man! Top 3. That's an awesome way to do, especially at Iowa. Is there anybody you want to shout out, or you have anyone to say thanks to?
Oh yeah, man. Thanks to all the admins and everybody putting this thing on. If my son's awake, we tried, buddy. I love you. And everybody else, man, good run.
Absolutely, man. Jesse, good job. I can't wait to see what you do next week, and man, just keep trucking.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, Alan Warnecki. Now, this is going to be an interesting interview. Alan, this is Josh and Alan in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Hey, man. So you got to walk us through the pitch strategy. You're the only one amongst the remaining drivers besides Brian who didn't pit. I mean, you only pitted once. What was the strategy going into that?
Truthfully, it all started in the beginning trying to get 1 bonus point for leading a lap. And we had quite a few cautions at the beginning of the race, so I knew tires weren't too beat up. And then just kind of roll with it and see where you end up, and hopefully you don't have to pit under green.
Yeah, and
Hey.
oh, go ahead. Sorry, Al.
I was going to say, so real late in the race, there was a caution with 9 laps to go. It turned out to be the final caution. Was it difficult at all from resisting going in for the new tires, or were you certain that you were staying out?
At that point, I had to stay out unless I was confident people behind me were going to come in on the lead lap. And I wasn't sure how many of those guys even had tires left. So if we had a couple attempts at a green white, maybe, but I was just going to roll with what I had.
And where were you when you took that first pit stop? Where were your tires at?
Right front was 51, 52, and right rear was 77, 78.
It's actually not bad, to be completely honest. For as long as you ran with those things, that's pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to get some tips for some tire saving, because you definitely did the best out of the field, and it netted you a 2nd place finish. You still stayed really competitive with McCann there, but it looked like the battle between you and Jesse kind of slowed you down quite a bit. And we noticed there off of turn 4, those last remaining laps, I don't know if the tires finally got to you or you were just pushing, but you looked like you got loose, and it kind of freed up that space for Keen to come in on you. But man, it was exciting to watch, and the strategy behind it all, like I said, it gave you a 2nd place finish. Do you have do you have anything you want to say? You have any shout outs you want to give?
I just want to shout out the top 10. Those guys were pretty consistent, and as consistent as they were clean while they were doing it. So that's appreciated, especially when you're trying to work a strategy.
Well, congrats on 2nd place, man. It'd be interesting to see how you do the rest of the season, and can't wait to see you out Trek next week.
Well, I'll tell you what. What was really interesting, what he said, was how much more worn out the right front was compared to the right rear. I honestly, as much sliding as these cars were doing, I really expected the right rear to be the one that took the majority of the damage. But according to him, either he was just doing a great job of saving those right rear tires and not sliding, or it just wasn't quite as loose out there as we were thinking.
Yeah,
And I don't think it's the latter. I think he was just doing a great job of saving those tires.
Yeah, absolutely. He did a fantastic job, and 2nd place, man. Like I said, I'd be happy with that for sure. But Brian McCann is the winner here in Iowa. Got him up in the booth. Brian, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Interesting race. It was basically now one of the big things between me and Alan we were talking about. We saw obviously there's 2 McCanns. Y'all have to be related, but what's the relation between y'all?
Kevin is my younger brother.
Gotcha. Okay, so brothers. Awesome. Well, Looks like Kevin unfortunately had a huge mistake. I'm not even sure what happened, but it looked like it netted him a penalty later on in the race, and that kind of gave you a clear path up front. But you also netted a penalty as well too for speeding down pit road. Put you in the back of the pack, but kind of walk us through how you got back to the front.
Yeah, so you can gain and lose so much on pit road, and we're right there on the edge. And that first time I got a penalty, what I was trying to do was pass Kevin coming out of the pits, and I must have sped on by only 1 or 2 miles per hour. It wasn't much, but that put me EOL on that start. And then when Kevin got his penalty, he was I believe I was behind him entering the pits, and he ended up passing the pace car before the pit entrance. So that's how he got his.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too. Y'all were having a really good run up there. It was a nice little battle, just back and forth. What was the? I keep kind of asking everybody this. What was kind of the strategy coming in? Obviously, a short track like this, you're saving tires, but was there anything in particular you were trying to maintain?
On these cars, it's all about the tires. You have to maintain a balance between wearing the front and rear. And I have actually never ran this car around this track, so that's what I was trying to do in practice, figure out that balance. And then it wasn't until about halfway in the race when I started to figure it out.
Yeah, we noticed that you were taking a much lower entry into the turns as everybody else. Did that end up kind of benefiting you in the long run, or was that hurting you?
Yeah, it was a major difference. In the beginning, I was wearing my right front out, so I was trying to figure out how to make the car looser. And at that final run there, my right front was 87, right rear 84.
That's not too bad either. Yeah, I'd say you and Kevin were both taking that low line, and we were expecting it to eat through tires pretty quickly. But even Alan, we were talking with him, and him being the only guy that pitted once in the top 5, and it really almost the whole pack. He looked like he kind of was getting you there for a bit, but then, you just took off. Between him and King battling it out, it gave you so much open space that it was just, there was no chance he was going to come back up there. But, it was a lot of fun being able to see y'all run this track here. Iowa is one of my favorite tracks, and I can't wait to see what happens next week, especially between you and your brother. Y'all are so close in points. You were 10 points ahead of him. That's really going to change now, just because of his finishing position, unfortunately. But yeah, you net yourself a win, especially coming off of Daytona, Chris getting you there on the last lap and passing you. But man, it was exciting stuff. Do you have?
It's definitely a
good
group of drivers. A bunch of fast guys out there, and at this track in particular, it was hard to pass. It took me several laps to get around Jesse King. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do it.
Yeah, because it looked like with him too, the midline seemed to be working really well for him. And that's what we were curious about, was knowing how bad that low line was for you, because like you're saying, passing here in general is tough. But a lot of guys opted for that mid lane. Really only you and Kevin that we saw kind of stayed on that low side. So it worked. It netted you a win at the end of the day, so you can't complain about that. So, is there anything you want to say? You have any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
I've never been asked that question. No, I'll have to think of some.
Hey, that's
how about shout out to the Carolina Club?
There you go, Carolina.
Well, congratulations, Brian, on the win, and we can't wait to see how you do next week, man. You take care.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Iowa, man, what an awesome race this was. Literally, besides the cautions, and they weren't even that bad, I had a blast here tonight. And hopefully everyone watching, thank you for sticking around and staying with it, and I hope you enjoyed the race as well. Alan, thank you so much for doing this, taking Tim's spot for this race. It was a ton of fun being able to talk, and we just got to give a huge shout out again to the sponsors that make this whole series possible, with Signature Esports over at facebook.com/Signature Esports. Go out there if you want someone with high quality broadcasts, or if you want to get into the broadcasting game. I think they had posts on Facebook looking for some guys for WoW, PUBG, iRacing, and everything else. So hit them up, let them know the 10-4 sent you. IROC series sent them as well too, and yeah, R&R Racewear over there in Missouri. If you're looking for some high-end quality racing apparel or some die-cast cars that you'd like, head on over to r/rracewear.com. We also got Loud Pedal Gaming over at facebook.com/Loud Pedal Gaming. Seems to be a streamer kind of doing a bunch of different things, so check him out at his Facebook page. And Top Notch Creations, another diecast car company as well, over at facebook.com/Top Notch Diecast. 4 big sponsors, a huge series ahead of us. I actually think I have let's take a look at the schedule. So heading into next week, we're actually going to be going to Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's actually going to be a great track too, especially for these cars. I have very little knowledge with ARCA cars. I don't know if you've raced them over in Charlotte or not, but they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have not. If I have, it's been a long time. It's been about 10 years, so it's definitely not used to it. But I can't imagine the cars being as loose as they were here today. So I think these guys will gladly substitute Iowa for Charlotte.
Absolutely. We got a long season ahead of us. It's going to end out all the way out till February 18th, ending with Darlington. Got a couple of we got a throwback race in there at Darlington, an all-star race at Richmond. So those are going to be fun, especially with them not being points races whatsoever. So again, thank you everyone for sticking around, watching the race. Ton of fun. Hope to see you here again, 9 p.m. Eastern, 10-4 Broadcasting's YouTube page.